across the country are fighting to defend themselves and expand the rights of migrant communities and standing up against Trump's fascist Gestapo. We all deserve a life of dignity and freedom, and that's what so many people are fighting for right now. I'm going to pass it on to my fellow co-chair, Grace, who is going to MC the call.
Hi, everyone. So good to be here with you. Very inspiring to see how many of us are ready to take action. So I will pass it right along to our first speaker. We're really excited to be welcoming Kai Johnson, who is an elected leader with Twin Cities DSA. He was born and raised on the south side of Minneapolis, and he's been doing tenant organizing and mutual aid in Minneapolis since 2022, and recently managed Aisha Juktai's successful city council campaign. But since the start of the ICE invasion, he's been organizing observers with Whipple Watch and patrols and dispatch for Southside Rapid Response. So we're really excited to hear from Kai, to learn more about what's happening on the ground and how we can all best support. Kai, over to you.
Thank you, Grace. Hello, comrades. Thank you so much for having me here today. As Grace mentioned, I grew up on Southside Minneapolis, and I stand here today because I grew up with many of my Hmong, Hispanic, and Somali neighbors that have now families of their own and kids in school and college, and they're being targeted and terrorized by the fascist occupation force that has been in Minneapolis for the last over 50 days. They were born on the same streets I grew up in. And I think that growing up in these communities is what made me who I am today and made what makes Minneapolis such a special and important place for this fight we are taking nationally. We stand up every day because immigrant neighbors make the community better and deserve to make a home here. And in Minneapolis, we show up every day because no one is illegal on stolen land. Yesterday, blocks from where I live, Alex Preddy was murdered in broad daylight. What sticks with me the most is one of the first headlines I saw was that another observer was murdered by ICE. And the word another sticks out to me there. Renee Good was murdered just over 2 weeks ago in broad daylight. And the fact that we have more violence blatantly on our streets day after day is just, it's difficult to overcome, and we stand together as we heal and move forward from that trauma. But what we get every day is another child abducted, another neighbor taken from a bus stop, another legal observer that has been murdered. The atrocities occur daily, but more and more neighbors show up every single day. This is not a new fight for many of my neighbors. My Indigenous neighbors have educated me throughout this struggle that this is a generational fight for them. Fort Snelling, which is the same land that the Whipple building is on, where ICE has their regional headquarters, stands as a concentration camp and is a monument to the genocide of our Indigenous neighbors. And we seek to not only kick ICE out of the Whipple building, but to dismantle Fort Snelling brick by brick because of what it says to our communities as a violent monument to atrocities that occurred for generations. What I think of also these days is that, they say fascism is imperialism come home, that what we're experiencing in Minneapolis is the same kind of imperialist occupation that occurs globally. And we have stood in solidarity with in struggle across the world, and now it's here today. And the letters and love and support that we receive not only nationally from comrades, but globally, it really keeps us going. It's quite heartening. I had an opportunity to read some of the love letters to Minneapolis the other day, and it's really what I needed in this struggle in these dark times. I want to speak a little bit to what we've been doing on the ground. So Whipple Watch, like I said, ICE is the regional headquarters for the Upper Midwest. ICE cars come in, ICE agents come into that building and mobilize and gear up, and they spread out across the Midwest. We collect license plates and information on the vehicles as they move in and out of the building. And disseminating that information, we've caught ICE vehicles that we see at Whipple days later in Rice Lake, Fargo, all across the state. And so the work that we do there that continues daily, we have people that show up daily to do this, is very important to keeping our neighbors safe, not only in our city, but across the state. Some of our local rapid response networks, these sprung up in the first weeks of the ICE occupation, and they they have shown to be one of the most effective routes in preventing abduction of neighbors. We have thousands and thousands and thousands of community members on hyper local chats. You might have seen some of them get leaked in the press recently. We have dispatch calls where there's neighbors who sit there and support patrollers as they do this intense work in our community, constantly being harassed and intimidated by ICE with threats of murder. Yes, threats of murder, but people still show up and do it every single day. Um, and I just want to say for our chapter also, we've been taking our leaders and putting them out in the community in these rapid response networks. They've been taking on administrative roles, dispatch roles. Our leaders are leading the charge, and the local organizations here have taken note, and we have really made TCDSA someone that people can rely on in the community, and I want to continue that work, and I think that's what's most important here, and that's why we're raising money today. One of the reasons we're raising money is, I mean, this is last week we were raising money for whistles and Know Your Rights Lit costs. Now we're raising funds for respirators and goggles. I don't know what we'll need money for next week. Who's to say? But we're continuing to ask our workers and neighbors to fight, and we need money to keep people out on the streets fighting ICE. We need people to keep standing up. I know you saw hundreds of thousands of people left work last Friday, and we need money to keep them out there to support them as they resist ICE on the streets of Minneapolis and Twin Cities. Thank you, everyone, and fuck ICE.